Robinson.
And then are you from Soledad, or did you come here from a different area?
Yeah, I'm from Salinas, so I came from Salinas.
And so what brings you out here today?
I was actually contacted by Sam Garcia in interest of speaking out today at their very organized protest for Black Lives Matter. I'm an educator in South County, so this community is near and dear to my heart, and I really want to be able to convey the message that this issue in America right now is not a black issue. It's an American issue. It's a systemic racism issue. Right now it's being exploited because of what nationally has happened to African American men on camera. But that could be anybody's son. That could be anybody's daughter. We need local reform. I'm here hopefully to do the same thing Barack Obama did, was make the call to mayors to start looking into their police enforcement policies, the use of excessive force, letting people know this is a local issue and a local election issue. Get out there and vote, November 3rd, vote.org, and that it's young people that really are going to make the difference in their communities. Every civil movement that has happened historically in our country has been led by young activists, organizers, and relentless people, right, for the cause. So hoping just to spark some inspiration. As an educator, that's what I like to do, is educate people on issues and kind of inspire them to take action. And we're really hoping that's just what happens here today for South County.
And are you here at all to share any sort of personal stories? Because I mean, definitely we've heard a lot of personal stories that really, hits home, because it's not something that you just hear about. It happens to people every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad's African American, my brother's African American. I have more than 20 first cousins who are African American males. I'm biracial as well, so I know the other side of this also, and I just know how important it is to kind of create intersectionality between this conversation and letting everybody know that it's not just it's not one-sided, your side or their side. It's our side seeing similarities within each other. I think that's just been like a mission of mine my entire life. And knowing personally that I have had positive encounters with police officers, but knowing that it's police officers who are policing their own communities, police officers who are policing people who look like them, police officers who are aware of the racial issues that happen in communities. So on the other side, I don't have any personal stories for brutality, but I have positive stories, and I just know what it will take to create reform in the system nationwide.
And definitely, with all of this going on, I mean, it's created conversations that are long overdue.
Yes, absolutely long overdue. We know that policing started in, slavery time, 1600s, which were capturing runaway slaves, right? So it's been colonized and militarized for the wrong reasons for 401 years now, right? 1619 was 401 years ago, and in 2020, we're still dealing with the same systemic issues. We've got to defund the police department too at state and national levels. Give to education. Let's educate. Let's push social and ethnic studies in schools, and you can't believe how many people I've come to conversations with who don't know why the police department was created in the 1600s. So it's just a call to so many actions. There's so much work that still needs to be done. But I'm so excited that the conversation's happening at national levels and local levels, and in communities like Soledad where this conversation really doesn't take place.
I was going to say, I mean, it's really great to see these things coming down to South County. South County, especially as being in the media, I feel like it needs to be overlooked. So definitely bringing this down here really shows really the scope of this.
Solidarity, unity. Last summer I was in Houston protesting at a detention center in Texas, right? So there's national policies all of our lives are at stake, right? So we need to have conversations that create intersectionality and people understanding that this is not a one-sided thing. This is not going to stay isolated in one community, right? We all don't take action and we all don't speak up, including people of privileged skin color, right? Talking to people who will listen to them, who won't feel offended or defensive, right? Having those private conversations in your homes too with people who might need to hear the message. And all of us are here as resources to give you, talking points or any of those types of things. And South County is a prominently migrant and brown community, and a lot of our issues align. They're parallel, they may not cross, but they are parallel. The biggest message I want people to take away is that policing reform is a local issue. I know we do need to vote nationally for the presidential election as well, because his message from the White House does not help any of this. But that you guys who are just now turning 18, get out there, register to vote, stay up to date on vote.org, and tons of initiatives for We Are All Voters. All of those things can keep you up to date on your local election dates, and really pay attention to who your state district attorney is running for, you know, all of those people. So really, honestly, it's the voting piece, because we are in a voting and election year.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I just want to add, I cannot say how proud I am of South County. I may not be from the community, but you guys are near and dear to my heart. I've taught in this community for 10 years now, and let's just keep working together to make sure that we make the change in our communities when it's time for us to make our change.
I believe like 7 in Monterey County. I've been asked by law enforcement agencies as well to teach them de-escalation techniques, and specifically the seaside event that I believe wrote about. I've been able to make sure that this sort of piece of protest that led 1,000 people, led a couple hundred. Honestly, this is about systemic change. This is about George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and all the other individuals that have been slain by law enforcement officers. But it starts with eradicating systemic racism. I have a master's in international policy and development, specializations in human trafficking, migration, human security. I studied criminal justice. I was a corrections officer for 5 years. I was in the foster care system. I know that we need systemic change. We can talk all day about defunding law enforcement agencies, but if we're not talking about policy, we're not going to get anywhere. So it doesn't matter if I'm marching 1 or 2 people, 5 people, or 1,000. It doesn't help anything for mayors or law enforcement officers who are helping this change. I know Jimmy Vanessa pretty well, and Senator Bill Burton. These people are leaders fighting to make sure that we're having policy changes. Ian Oglesby, Seaside Mayor, has talked about what he's going to do in Seaside to make sure that it doesn't happen in Seaside ever again after this. You know, because there's things that's happening all over the United States. This isn't just about Monterey County. This is about California and other states that have law enforcement, racist law enforcement officers, and we're not doing anything about it.
And you know, I think it's incredible too that you've been on the other side as a correctional officer. I mean, so you know that side as well as your personal experience with, I'm sure, many other issues that come up. I mean, can you kind of talk to that? You know your stuff. Clearly, this isn't something that you just come out to do. You know it inside and out for both sides.
Yeah, I'm considered a criminal justice specialist. I retired at the Polk County Sheriff's Office in Baldwin, Missouri. It's predominantly all white. I was the only African American. The first African American hired at their agency. Before I got there, the current governor sheriff. So I understand racism from the inmates, but also law enforcement. Predominantly, most of them learned from me and how I acted. I kind of broke down the stereotypes, but that's the thing that we need to do. We need intercultural training for law enforcement officers. I'm 26 years old. I shouldn't be sitting there and the chief of police calling me on my phone that she got from the NAACP in Monterey County. Chief Judy about the Villas. I got my number from Burton NAACP. She asked me to call. I can't remember the time. It was last Saturday, I believe, to help de-escalate or calm down a protest. When I got there, all I saw were law enforcement officers and tactical gear from all over the county. Del Rio, Marina, Monterey, Salinas. They were all ready for war pretty much. And I told them, I'm here now. You don't need to do that. Let me talk to my people, my allies, my black and brown brothers and sisters. And because when I finally got to the protest, all I saw were emotion. I didn't see any anger. I didn't see anyone wanting to just take down or burn their own city. I just saw people that wanted systemic change right now. We're tired of waiting 20 years, or when I have grandkids, this happens all over again. It's time for a real change.
And so leading groups of people from 5 to 2,000, I mean, how is that, what is that like for you to see so many people leading and wanting this change?
It's a dream come true. I grew up, I'm originally from Shelby, Alabama. I looked up to people like Martin Luther King. My uncles are in their 70s, so they had a lot of stories. I'm the first in my family to graduate high school. To graduate high school, to have a master's degree is something some people may say is breaking statistics. But I always tell my young brothers and sisters that you want to be the expectation and not the exception. And something that really inspired me to do this is because I looked up to people like Martin Luther King, and I wanted to be the next Martin Luther King. That's a big thing to say, but I'm 26 years old. If someone doesn't try to take that mantle, who will? And so I'm just here to do my part here in Soledad. This is not my community, but we're trying to raise awareness all over California. And this is just the beginning.
And so, I've been asking people personal stories that you would like to share with us, because I feel like that is what catches people's attention.
I have a speech I'm going to say later on at the end of this. Thank you. I've been stopped by law enforcement officer as a corrections officer. Literally, I had the uniform on, and a police officer in Stockton, Missouri, stopped me and told me that I stole my wife's vehicle. I shared this on Facebook a long time ago, and it just made me already, which I already knew, it made me realize how broken the system was. And this officer apologized, said that he had a bad day. You don't have bad days for your law enforcement officer. I remember growing up as a 14-year-old, getting off the school bus, and a law enforcement officer at the Shelby County Sheriff's Office asking me what was in my backpack when I was walking a block from my house. Those type of, and I grew up where my mother had to teach me what to do when a law enforcement officer stopped me in the streets instead of the birds and the bees. You know what I mean? Like, as a black man, as an African American, we're taught how to be respectful to law enforcement officers so we don't get killed by a law enforcement officer. It shouldn't be that way.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam Gomez. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am a resident of Soledad and a local organizer. I am here today as a non-Black Latinx queer person using my privilege to stand in solidarity with the Black community and the Black Lives Matter movement. Thank you all so much for being here today and standing in solidarity as well. First, I want to acknowledge that we are on sacred Indigenous land. We want to honor Indigenous and Black ancestors and our siblings that are here in the fight today. We would also like to honor and remember the Black lives that were taken from us too soon. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, and the countless others that were taken from us due to racial violence and police brutality. Let us please take a moment of silence to honor them. Thank you. We are all here for a reason. To show up for Black lives and to express our solidarity within this movement. This is just the start, and I'm so glad to see each and every one of you here today to express that. Now, I just want to thank the city for working with us to ensure our safety during the demonstration and march. I would also like to give a special thank you to my co-organizer, Nathaniel Sawyer, who has been an amazing support through this whole process with his guidance and leadership. I could not have done this without you. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the speakers, donors, volunteers, and community members who have all made this possible. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Before we hear from our first speaker today, allow me to announce a few housekeeping items. This will be a peaceful protest and demonstration. So we ask that everybody please respect the space and follow social distancing as much as possible. We will be providing masks near the water and snack tables, so please feel free to grab one. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker of the day, Kenya Burton. Yes. Kenya is an award-winning poet and activist from Salinas, California. Through her work, she tackles difficult themes around racism, classism, sexism, and the other isms that plague America. She hopes to promote understanding and equality for the next generation. Let's please give a hand for Kenya Burton.
First off, to begin, I am religious, and even if you aren't, all love to you, but I would just love to put the word of God on you and protection, and I don't want to cry, but we have the righteousness of God on our side. We are doing the right thing, and it may not be right to everyone else, but we are here and we're fighting for God's people. And so we need to keep that in mind, that even if we're fighting for God's people, people will see that we're fighting against them, and we're not. We're fighting for everyone, and it shouldn't be such a big issue to say that my life matters and that my brothers and sisters' lives matter, and my little sister should grow up in a world where she's not afraid of violence from police or the people who are supposed to protect us. So God will protect us, and know that God is on your side, and even if anything were to happen, I'm believing that God will protect us, that we have each other, and we know that we're here for a reason. So this is my poem for George Floyd. Help me, I can't breathe, he's going to kill me. Trigger finger, counterfeit bill, telling the officer he can't breathe 15 times, one time too many, taking another black man's life. 8 at night, 8 minutes of pleading, a 2-minute video, and one body to be buried. A cop with his hands in his pockets and a smirk on his lips, pointing like Columbus finding land that did not belong to him, and you still proclaim his innocence. You will move on to the next story while we scrape our men off of the streets. You let a guilty man go while we pick out a casket. You give him bodyguards to protect him while we choose his pallbearers. We are being gunned down like dogs, and they still have the audacity to say racism doesn't exist. Say that the system wasn't built from the bodies of our sisters and brothers. Say I'm angry, say I'm vicious, say that I am an animal, so it makes it okay to kill me. They use our deaths to teach us lessons. Don't talk too loud, don't fight back, hope that they get off of you before you take your last breath. You have a bulletproof vest and still our phones prove no protection. We could catch our murder live and you would still call it fabricated. Understand that your story will never be just yours. Your movement will become theirs. Turn our Black Lives Matter into All Lives Matter, because when the topic is not on them, they feel shadowed. You can't be the main protagonist without a white companion. If you hate this country so much, why stay in it? Take this knee and call it unpatriotic, call it scum. Tell me to go back to my country when this country is more mine than yours. Kaepernick got blacklisted and a cop gets repositioned. Takes a manhunt to bring a suspect in. Only did something when we saw the footage. We can have a group of Nazis walk down these streets and receive no punishment but fight for the lives of black people and let the squads in. You want this skin, but not this condition. You want the show, but not the credits. You want my mouth, but won't take this medicine in your vocabulary. Injustice is called compromise, and justice is called special treatment. One voice and make it 3/5 of a person, because it is easier if you can make a black person less than a man. And they wonder why we still rise in numbers. We are only seen as people when we are in groups. You hunted us down for centuries. You beat us, you lynched, you raped our women and children, and we asked you for equality, and they gave us bondage. Accept these conditions or fall victim. We want to live, but you want to finish what your ancestors started. You killed someone's son. You killed someone's daughter. You tell us to get over it after you wash the blood off. Paint over our memorials, make us watch as you try to erase us. Word of advice. Show them that inside of your palms are the same color as their skin. Don't do anything that will make them want to come in. They will cut you open to see if you bleed the melanin you are so proud of. My mother told me from a very young age that you must respect authorities. Never speak too loud. If a cop stops you, don't do anything to scare him. Look down and stay quiet. Do anything you can to make it home. Don't make a mother bury her child. Apologized for my flesh. Sorry that her loving a black man gave me a death sentence. Be good and get home safe. One of my worst fears is bringing a beautiful black boy into this world. That I will have to fill his bedtime stories with warnings and package his lunchbox with silence and submission. I will have to raise two different people, his blackness and his image. That he will turn on the TV years from now and say, why do they kill us? I will tell him he needs to love his pigment. He will say that it makes him a target. I will try to show him how to love his hair. And he will say that it feels like rope, tastes like heritage. When the teacher asks him what he wants to be when he grows up, he will say old. That he will look at a textbook and see our murders, wondering when he will get his plot. I will have to tell him what my mother told me. They will see your skin as a weapon, your voice ammunition. Cover up, but keep your hood down. Hands up and don't make a sound. If you are too loud, they will kindly compare it to the sound of their bullet. Ask if black people are so fast, why didn't they dodge it? Is this what they call family traditions? My culture was erased by privilege, and now it feels like the only thing I can pass down to my children is this noose, this gun, this knee, this barbed wire. Maybe one day he will stumble upon a story, a man with the name of Floyd. The marches that were held in his name, the air that his people breathed for him when we got tired of being polite. Tired of being peaceful when a protest became a murder technique, angrier about a black man taking a knee against brutality than a white man taking a life. This is not just in Minneapolis, this is in our neighborhoods. One day I will look at my beautiful black boy and pray that he makes it home, that he doesn't run into the law. I have found that I have come to fear cops more than burglars. We don't call to have the fire extinguished in case they think we are the arsonists. How can you question us when time and time again you have proven that you will let us die? Ironic how a man who fought against gun violence died beneath a cop, suffocated on the irony when the cop proved to him that they could make any man disappear, that he would get his 15 minutes of fame from the grave. They thought we wouldn't fight for him, that we would take back the air they stole from him. We won't let him disappear. We won't let this son, this brother, this father, this human being fade away. Did you know one of the last things that George Floyd did was call out for his mother? Mama. He cried as if maybe the woman that gave him life could have saved him, or maybe he called out to her because he knew he was going to die. Like a child seeking out his mother on a dark night, wanting comfort, but only feeling the concrete floor. Mama, help me. I can't breathe. He's going to kill me. Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Vanessa Robinson. She is a biracial African-American and white educator from Monterey County. She has taught solely in South County, Gonzales, and Greenfield for the past 8 years. She has dedicated her career to dismantling systemic racism beginning in our schools. Please clap for Vanessa.
All right, I don't know how I follow Kenya, but give her another round of applause. Okay, so mine, an educator format, is going to be educational and informational, right? First, I want to start by thanking you all for being here today. I know how scary it can be to stand up to a system that is long established to achieve a specific goal, but I want to reassure you all that right now, you're doing the right thing. I also want to make it clear that the protests and issues we are seeing around the country for the past 12 days, it's not just a black community issue. It's an American issue. It's a policing issue. It's an American racism issue. All of these issues are our own, not separate community issues. At least these are issues that are going to affect all of our communities regardless. The history of policing can be traced back to the 1600s, and its main goal is returning runaway slaves to its owners. Unfortunately, 401 years later, not much has changed. We haven't come much further. We haven't come as far as we like to say that we have as Americans. After the 13th Amendment banning slavery, we see mass incarceration in our country, the second wave of slavery. We heard presidential campaigns with messages for creating a war on crime. What they meant was a war on black and brown communities, a war on our brothers and sisters. Since the civil rights movements in the 1950s and 60s, we've been given false hope that we've come far from segregation and it's all ended since Jim Crow. That as citizens, we have achieved so much more. Yet systemic policies and government and policing remains the same. We see this down at our borders with the way that our brothers and sisters from Mexico are being treated when they're coming into this country that's supposed to be a land of the free. Black communities are saying to those brown communities, we've never been free. It's false hope. What I'm here to tell most of you here today is about the counter all lives matter argument, correct? Most of us out here yelling Black Lives Matter, receive it, whether it's on social media, on Facebook, or in our face. As an educator, I like to respond with it's grammatically incorrect for all lives to matter if Black lives don't matter. Giving you pieces that you can go back, take into your community when anybody questions you about Black Lives Matter, it's not a hierarchy system. We're not asking to be put at the top of the ladder. What we're doing is screaming to a nation who has long, for 401 years now, we've added a year, that if you didn't know, our lives do matter, right? Black lives do matter. If we need to remind you, if we need to tell you for the first time, if we need to reiterate, we will continue to do it. If it's more comfortable for you to say Black Lives Matter too, T-O-O, say that. We're sick and tired of watching our brothers and sisters die on the streets of America, black blood strained all on our sidewalks for somebody's political gain. Every single one of you, and if not yet, you under 18ers who are turning 18, please register to vote. These issues start locally in local elections. It is not just about a president, 45 on Pennsylvania Avenue, who is not adding any hope for us right now, but in your own communities. You need to be looking at who's being elected at your state level for district attorney. Our mayors can make a difference in our police enforcement policies in your local communities, in your city, in Soledad, in Gonzales, in Greenfield, in Salinas. Every single one of you has the power to make a change in the community you live in. Yes, this is a national headline right now, but do not let that deter you from the power you have in your community to make a change. So what I'm going to urge everybody here, if you're not registered to vote, you need to be registered to vote. I know today is Soledad High School's graduation, but if anything, this is more important today than it ever has been, because those students graduating today are going to go into a world that right now we can't guarantee will protect them. So continue to have these conversations, continue to make people uncomfortable, continue to speak your voice, continue to back Black Lives Matter, because I think it's really important not to water down that phrase. Thank you. Next, we have Queen Tay, who will also give a spoken word. Queen Tay was born and raised in Chicago as the oldest of and only girl of her mother's 5 children. 3 of her brothers are currently in prison. Her mother passed away 2 years ago from AIDS after suffering a lifetime addiction to drugs, in which she had to grow up and be a mother to her brothers from a very young age. Her family has suffered from systemic racism, but she refused to be a victim. She's now a single mother of 4 and wants her children and grandchildren to know what life is like without systemic racism. We are not victims, we are creators. Queen Tay.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And, first I'd like to give an honor to God, who is the head of my life. And, Black Lives Matter. So, let me start my poem. Let's grow through what we're going through. I can show you what faith can do, and grace too. Let life make you, don't let it break you. Love can take you to infinity. If you surrender to the divinity, we can all begin to see life in its entirety. What you desire to be is entirely up to you. Be aware of the things you say and do, even when people try to misuse you, abuse you, or confuse you. You have to let them lose you and refuse to be taken for granted. Peace must be demanded on this planet. Let's not let Black society prove our leaders to be a lost cause. Those who fought laws with the intentions to fight flaws. Many have sacrificed their own lives for us all. Let's not act like Dr. King didn't touch y'all. We have everything our parents want and so much more to get. Let's not die blind and live stupid. Let's use it. Excuse me. Let's use it and not abuse it. Be literate to music or however we choose it. Don't break the pool sticks and expect to win. Come again, because we were born in sin. And the Emancipation Proclamation supposedly freed the slaves, but it was slaves in the house of Abe. So don't let anybody spit on your back and say it's rain. Pay attention to this storm to enhance your brain. Do you remember Emmett Till? Proof in the hatred for real, but yet and still many Blacks we kill. Let's search intentionally for the beauty, and then eventually we can change reality, because I know that spiritually this is our duty. When we found out society was just a fallacy, and actually You and me, we have the power. And the monopoly can never stop a seed. So properly, we can expose and devour. And anatomically, we have evolved to be sophisticatedly more self-aware. And incommensurably, we can begin to see we are infinity and nothing compares. We are the opulence and we have a lot of sense. And I admit, I really don't care who doubts this, because we are the stars and we're coming about this. We know the truth and we're willing to show you, absorb it and let it grow you, because we want you to know too. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give another round of applause for our speakers. And here now to speak is the Mayor of Soledad, Fred Ledesma.
Thank you, Sam. Hey, I just want to welcome you to our windy little city. I am excited for the fact that sometimes being angry is bad, but sometimes being angry is good in a positive way. And what I mean by that, I was talking to a young lady and I told her, "How are you today?" And she said, "I'm really angry." And I thought about that as she told me that, and I said, you know what, but that's kind of good. That's really good. But what we do with our anger is where we go from here. Unfortunately, some people in some of the marches had been pretty violent, and so the message of Black Lives Matter is getting lost in the destruction that they're causing, right? When everyone forgot about what they were there for, right? So don't allow that to permeate in your brain. One thing here in Soledad is that we have always had a history of being activists. In the 60s when Cesar came here, it was funny. I was born and raised here. My parents were migrant farm workers. We ended up here in 1931. My father came here. He shared with me a few things that I shared with the group, and I'll share them with you today. When our family first came to Soledad in 1931, my father said their car broke down just across the bridge on the way to Lompo, and they ended up at what they called Okie Camp, because at that time all the farm labor camps were segregated by race. Where the cemetery was, that was Garcia Camp, which was a Mexican camp. Right here where Bingo's Market is across the street where those apartments are was Filipino camp. And where Nelson's Trailer Park is at today was Okie Camp. So my father said there was no room in Mexican camp for them, so they ended up in Okie Camp. And the Okies took them in for 2 weeks, but they had to leave. My Aunt Jenny Aquino, who's 99, told me, "Mijo, I remember this like yesterday. The sign said, no dogs, no cats, no Filipinos, no Mexicans." Right? Ironically, she ended up marrying a Filipino. And her own family didn't talk to her for 5 years because she married a Filipino, right? It shows you how our raza is kind of a little screwed up still. But the point is this, is that my father had a bad experience with that. He went to the Navy in World War II. My father was very dark-skinned with curly hair. So when he went to shore leave, he could not drink in a bar in San Diego. He had to go to Tijuana with the African Americans because they thought he was black, so they wouldn't allow him to drink in a bar in San Diego, even though he was in his Navy uniform. And I shared with my dad, "Hey, Pop, that didn't piss you off?" He's like, "Yeah, it pissed me off, mijo, but what was I going to do? I wasn't going to fight the whole government and the Navy, right?" So when my father came back, after the war, he got a job at the Postal Service. He ended up being a postmaster for 31 years, only second Mexican-American postmaster in the United States, by the way. But my father, along with Cesar and some other people, formed the Community Service Organization in 1954 here in Soledad. He was the president for 10 years. The Community Service Organization ended up registering more people in Soledad than any other community for Latinos in Monterey County. That is why today Soledad has a female-dominated council, and I want to acknowledge my council members here today. Carla, where's Carla at? Carla Stewart is there. Ana Velasquez is right there. Is Maricela here? Maricela Lara and Alejandro Chavez. So we are dominated by women and Latinos, and we're very proud of that. 7 of our last 8 city managers have been Latino. 4 of them have been women. The reason I'm telling you that, because one of the speakers was talking about registering to vote. You can make your anger to to get pissed off at every cop you see, at every white person you see, at every injustice that you've had, right? Or you can take your anger and make your anger saying, F you guys, I'm going to register a bunch of people and I'm going to get your ass out of that position, right? And that is really what our activism should be about today. What Black Lives Matter should be about is this, saying, when I register all those people, there's nothing that I'm going to do today that's going to make you like me, right? I could say some pretty words, but I'm going to tell you today, all I want you to do is respect me. And I call this the Tiger Woods rule, right? I don't know if you've seen what's happened with Tiger here today. He's kind of a disappointment to me, and I'll tell you why. Tiger thinks, because he's the greatest golfer in the world, that, well, I'm not really black, I'm not really... I said, bro, you better get a goddamn mirror, because you are black, brother. I don't know how you think you're not black, but you're black. But they accept Tiger, why? Because he's the greatest golfer in the world, right? So, the point I'm trying to make is this. The people that like you today, your family, your husband, your wife, your kids, they will love you no matter what. Other people may not accept you, right, because of your skin color or whatever, but you have to try to create that respect by, one, registering people to vote so you can make positive change. Two, get yourself educated. When I hear about these ladies here with the degrees that they have, I'm impressed. Because not only are they speaking cool words, but they're speaking with authority, right? So get yourself educated, get yourself registered, register all the people around you, all your family and friends. I am blown away the number of young people that I see today that I find out they don't go get registered till they're 21, 25 years old. And then you're bitching about what's happening? Hey bro, go get registered to vote and then vote those people that you don't want. Real quick, one last thing. You know, I talk a lot about my dad because he was kind of inspiration to me, but the day that Barack got elected, I went in the house and my dad was crying. I said, Pop, what's wrong? He's like, Mijo, I am so happy that a person of color is in the White House. He said, I'm a little bit sad because I thought a Latino would be president before an African American, but I am happy. I am so happy that maybe our country is really changing. Ironically, 8 years later, how did the knucklehead end up in the White House? It is because, why? Yeah, because people did not go and vote, and those swing states ended up allowing Trump to win electorally, even though 3 million people in the U.S., 3 million more people voted for the other candidate. So register today. Don't quit. Allow your anger to have a positive end result. Do not allow your anger to be a rage of saying F you and F the cops and F everyone else. I'm going to break your shit. I'm going to steal your shit. Well, you ain't stealing my shit, I can tell you that. But you need to be positive and be a positive change. And once again, I want to thank Sam and all the organizers today. So thank you. I want to introduce Nathaniel Sawyer. I just met him, but he's smart. He's a real smart cat. He's 10 times smarter than me. I'm going to read his bio. Nathaniel is a returned Peace Corps volunteer. He's an activist and a graduate student at Middlebury Institute of International Studies. He's a vice president of the Democratic Club of the Monterey Peninsula and a rising young African-American leader in the United States. Nathaniel.
First off, I want to say, Black Lives Matter. I don't hear you. I've talked to 2,000 people. This is my 8th protest. And I want you to sound like 2,000 people today when we go marching. So when I say Black Lives Matter, I want to hear, Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! That's what I'm talking about. You know, before I start this, I wish the high school students were here because I come from low-income situations. My mama raised me. My dad died before I was born. I'm not going to get into how he died. He died before I was born. I was the first in my family to graduate high school. I have a master's degree, man. I'm the first in my family to graduate high school. Not go to college, high school. Me and my wife have traveled all over the United States, being activists. I was in the Peace Corps. We did missionary work. She was in Nicaragua. I was in the Philippines. We did things like that. We've been in Missouri fighting systemic racism. I was a corrections officer for 5 years. The reason I got into law enforcement was to put more people of color in law enforcement, but also to fight systemic racism and to show them that we aren't going to be burger flippers, we aren't going to be the welders, but we are going to be the authoritarians that you need today. I'm tired of this, but I'm going to jump into my speech because I'll start talking like a preacher. And yeah, we don't got time for that. In March 1965, Martin Luther King Jr. led a march of more than 3,000 people from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, to protest the lack of voting rights for African Americans, leading to the passage of the Voting Rights Act. MLK and his followers, friends, and family marched in suits and ties, making sure they looked nice and remained peaceful. Since then, their image has become the poster child of peaceful protests as the legend MLK and other leaders stood shoulder to shoulder, hand to hand. But we never post what happened 5 minutes later, when they all got their skulls bashed with law enforcement batons, legs chewed off by police dogs, and children attacked with fire hoses. Our march today is unified with every other protester that says they are tired of dying as an African American in the prison system and on the streets. We march today because the video of George Floyd's death was caught on an iPhone, proved that there is no question the cops still show their authoritarian qualities and follow policies and procedures that support systemic racism. We march today because there are more George Floyds, Eric Garners, John Crawfords, Michael Browns, Isaiah Fords, Dante Parker, Michelle Cazette, Laquan McDonald, George Main, Tanisha Anderson, Sandra Bland, Philando Castillo, Trayvon Martin. I could go on and on and on without even scratching the surface of all the injustices and lives lost at the hands of officers who shouldn't have been given the badge. I challenge every law enforcement agency, programs for law enforcement officers. I'm going to look at my law enforcement officers when I say this. I challenge every law enforcement agency, program for law enforcement officers, new de-escalation techniques and tactics that do not involve a gun, taser, pepper spray, or chokeholds. I challenge the people to police the police. Again, I challenge the people to police the police until systemic racism is abolished amongst the ranks of law enforcement. Today, if you wonder, how long will this march be? Listen to the words of a mentor I will never meet. MLK once said at the state capitol of Montgomery in 1965, "We have walked through desolate valleys and across the trying hills. We have walked on the mending highways and rested our bodies on rocky byways. Some of our faces are burned from the outpouring of the sweltering sun. Some have literally slept in the mud. We have been drenched by the rains. Our bodies are tired and our feet are somewhat sore. Now it is not an accident that one of the great marches of American history should terminate in Montgomery, Alabama. Just 10 years ago, in this very city, a new philosophy was born of the Negro struggle. Montgomery was the first city in the South in which the entire Negro community united and squarely faced its age-old oppressors. They told us we wouldn't get here. And there were those who said that we would get here only over their dead bodies. But all the world today knows that we are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama saying, we ain't going, let nobody turn us around. We are going to take this fire of MLK and the leaders of today have been passed on to us, and we will follow their example of peace and resistance. We stand on the shoulders of their struggles. Today in Soledad, California, we march. Let justice reign in the streets. Let voices roar. Today's changes are made for the betterment of our community. Facing systemic racism isn't just a fight for the African American. Pero también para mis hermanos y hermanas, Hispanos, Latinos y Latinas, and any other who suffer at the hands of unjust policies that detain and abuse innocent people in our communities, at our borders, and in our streets. Sam, lead us in a march. Let's go.
Okay, so now, thank you again, Nathaniel. Thank you for the speakers, Kenya. We thank you, Queen Tay, and we thank you, Vanessa. Yes. Let's give one more hand of applause for our speakers and the mayor. We're going to start the march on the corner of the park over there. So I will be leading with Nathaniel, and we will be leading some chants. If you all will join us, thank you.
lives matter.
All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. Don't shoot. 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 Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
No racist ass police. No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace. No racist police. No justice, no peace.
No peace. No racist ass police. No justice, no peace. No racist ass police.
Can we lead another one? All hands on deck, get your knee off your neck.
All hands on. Everybody, all hands on deck.
Don't shoot.
Don't shoot. Get your knee off your neck. All hands on deck. Get your knee off your neck. All hands on deck. Get your knee off your neck. All hands on deck. Get your knee off your neck. Get your knee off your neck. All hands on deck. Get your knee off your neck.
Don't shoot! No justice, no peace. No racist police. 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 No justice.
notice your community. They have things built, boarded up. Like, you're coming out from outside. Not even from here, right? Raise your hands if you're from here. I want you to say, present that. Present that. Soledad. So much change can happen out of these doors. So much change can happen out of these doors. It shouldn't take outsiders to come into Soledad to say something you guys already know. It should, I repeat, it shouldn't take outsiders to come into Soledad to say what you already know. We want systemic change. Sam leads the way in that. Me and Sam are 26 years old. 26 years old. Yes, we are the future, but I don't want to wait until I'm 40, 50 years old. And I'm broken down halfway. Excuse me if you're 40, 50 years old. Yes, I'm tired. I don't want to wait no more. If we're going to do something, we do it now. We don't need to be 20, 55 when we do something again like this. And we're going to be sitting back saying, if history repeats itself. Because it doesn't. We can stop it from repeating itself. We started by putting black and brown people. And when I say brown, let's explain.
some that don't stand with us. And when I say with us, I'm talking about the Latino Latinas as well. And excuse me if I'm not proper in saying Latino Latinas. I'm ignorant. I still gotta learn my own. All right. And guys.
Viva la raza, man.
Viva la raza.
Unida jamás será vencida.
Yo necesito practicar mi español. When I leave this community, I'm not too far away. I'm always in South Soledad. I must have to come to Soledad to meet my new friends now. I want you guys, you know what? I'm that type of person. I'm not a politician. So I'm going to do this. Take out your phones if you got them. I want you to take down my number if you ever need anything. I know, hey, I'm serious. I'm not scared. I know the NAACLU. I'm in those organizations. So my number is area code 831-402-6776. My name is Nathaniel Sawyer. Find me on Facebook, Twitter. If you ever need anything, I'm there. I am there. Let's get back to this. All right.
Can't drink, you need it.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
5 years. You don't need tactical gear for your own community. Raise your hands. Show them who that you're from here. How many of you are from here? Raise your hands. These are your families. These are your communities. These are the ones you're serving to protect. We want systemic change. Start hiring law enforcement officers that respect the same values that I hope you do. I was a correctional officer for 5 years. Why are they here? Why are corrections officers here for a peaceful protest? I repeat, why are corrections officers here for a peaceful protest?
Why are they here? They're murdering us.
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing my brothers and sisters die. But nothing. I'm 12% of the United States population. I repeat, Black African Americans are 12% of the United States population. Hispanic people are 17, 18% of the United States population. Caucasian people are 78% of the population. You don't assimilate, you integrate. Repeat, you do not assimilate, you integrate. Start integrating your culture with our culture. You come from heritage that we respect, but you cannot. Take me with us. Take me with us. Take me with us. Can't deal without orders. Without orders.
We don't need their propaganda. We don't need you. We'll never need you.
Listen, everybody listen up. Listen. We're going to change that. We're going to change that. The people that live here need to go to the city council meeting and be like, we asked them to take a knee, to stand with us. It doesn't take money to do that. It doesn't take energy to take a knee. All it takes is a heart and a mind, as my sister just said. So we're going to stand up and we're going to keep marching because they don't want to stand with us. Take our knee! 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 Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police!
Black lives matter!
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 With Black lives matter!
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 Hands up!
Hands up! Don't shoot! 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 Don't shoot!
shoot! Let's shoot! George Floyd! 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 George Floyd!
situation. I know some of you are like, whoa, it's been COVID-19, man. I ain't walked in a while now. I ain't did anything in a while. I know we lazy, I know. But we almost there. I know some people have to use the restroom and stuff like that. I want to respect you because you're out here. And this is all it takes. We already got it everywhere in the world. We got it on Facebook. We got it on KSBW. Your faces, if you ain't scared, your faces out there now. They know who fight. We're going to have to, when we get back to the place, we're all going to take our mass photo and show that we're united. We're Soledad. We're united. Again, raise your hands to show how many people. Raise your hands to show me how many people are from Soledad. Show them that you're not outsiders. How many of you people were born and raised here? How many of you vote? How many of you eat? How many people have families here, friends here? We work here too. You work here. We work the field. We work the wineries. Get up here. We work the stores. What you up here? What's that? ¡Está todo mi raza! ¡Aquí está el movimiento, raza! ¡Aquí nosotros podamos! ¡Aquí, miren nomás! Enseguida de ustedes, ¿quién está aquí contigo? De todos colores, de todas partes del mundo aquí, unidos. Yo soy de Greenfield, pero aquí es de Soledad, aquí es de King City, aquí es de Salinas, aquí de Marina, de Seaside. Aquí, para los negros, todos unidos, para toda la raza. Este movimiento es más, es por Dios, es por todo México que está sufriendo. ¡Vamos arriba! ¡Vamos arriba!
Thank you. Sam! Oh, sorry, yeah.
Take us home. But we ain't done until we get there. We're gonna be loud. We're gonna show them that we want systemic change. Those mayors and politicians that are back there, they better be listening to you because it's good to talk. And I love the mayor here in Soledad. He's a great guy. He's a guy that's come from a lot of hardship. But at the same time, he's gonna use his power to change this. This is gonna happen. This is what we need. This is our repeat. Not 12% of the freaking United States population. It's Latinos are, guess what? How big are we? 17%. Thank you. Caucasians, 78% of the United States population, according to the United States census that me and my wife are a part of. So stand up, let's get back started and show them what we're about. Black lives matter.
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 Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
I'm 19 years old. I've been an activist since I was 12. I lost my childhood. That is what you need to see. I may have been in this community. I have feared cops more than I have been in education. And you need to understand that. How is it that I could go to education for 12 years? I'm a college student. I've feared cops all of my life. I've been in education least amount of time that I've been afraid for my life, and that says something. I have a little sister who's 13, and she just stays at home because she's scared. She doesn't know what's going to happen, but she says thank you. She's just like, it's cool to see you out there, and she doesn't understand that we have to be out here because I want to keep her from being out here. Amen. I don't want my kids to have to be out here. You need to understand that this isn't just our problem, it's everyone's problem. I am African American, I am Mexican American. I know my mom went to college in Minnesota. She was an activist in Minneapolis, so when she heard this happen, it broke her heart
because she said 25 years ago, they didn't have social media, so the way that they would get news around was they would put up flyers and they would call and they would make dozens of calls. And she said, how is it that I came to you with you to these marches 25 years later and it's still happening? And that says something. I'm not going to wait another 25 years for me to go to a We could not allow these kids to lose their childhood. They shouldn't have to be raised. I've been seeing all these videos of these little girls crying, saying, I'm going to get killed because of the color of my skin. I was raised hating my color, hating my hair. I was told I was ugly. That my education didn't matter by teachers, by principals, by people I worked with. It isn't just, oh, it's just these people who are racist. No. If I'm raised from the day I am born that something is wrong with me, of course we're going to think something's wrong with us. You need to stand by your children. If they tell you a story, believe them. Don't give them every reason why they're wrong.
Yes, sir.
Because that would have changed my life. That would have changed so many of my friends' lives who joined gangs and who went to fight cops because no one would listen to them, so they were going to make them listen. So thank you. Because it is. All lives matter, but Black lives matter. We do. I shouldn't have to fight to be alive. I shouldn't have to fight to breathe. So we're going to breathe for him. And I want us to sing happy birthday to Breonna Taylor. A beautiful black woman who was supposed to be 27 yesterday. And they took her breath too. She was asleep. I want to cry, but she was asleep in her house. She was asleep and she was safe and she thought she had safety because we should have safety in our home. Like we should have safety in these streets. But we don't. And we need to understand that it could be any of us. We've let them get away with them for too long.
Too long.
And we're tired of being polite. We're tired of being polite. Exactly. So I want to sing happy birthday to her.
Ready? Go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brianna. Happy birthday to you.
I know a lot of you guys, our first language is Espanol, so let's do that. And I want to respect our other culture. Please say
Mañanitas que cantaba el rey David, hoy por ser Dios de tu santo te las cantamos aquí. Despierta, mi bien despierta, mira que ya amaneció, ya los pajaritos cantan, la luna ya se metió.
Let's also not forget the point of the movement, right? The movement is to yell and shout as loud as you can at your voting polls. You young folks are taking to you specifically and especially as an educator. I cannot stress to you how important it is that you are registered to vote, that you are educated on your voting rights, that you help others become aware of their right to vote locally, not just nationally. The presidential election is not where this problem is solved. This problem is solved at your local level with your mayors, who you're putting in the mayor's office, who you're putting as your police chiefs, who are appointed in your community. These are the same people who are policing your everyday life. You need to be heard in your community, and that starts with you all voting. Also, it's larger than that. We need to talk about policies and funding. Police in LA, the $30 million budget that the LA mayor has thinks it's good enough to cut $150 million only. Yeah, right. LA Unified is one of the most underfunded school districts in our state. It starts with education. It starts with reform. It starts with your voices saying you're no longer going to take money from my kids, our school systems. They're not going to be in buildings in Soledad at 115-degree weather with no air conditioning, while police officers are killing, murdering, harassing, using excessive force with that state money. You guys need to be heard, and we need to make a change. It's systemic, I tell you, and I promise you. It starts with the organizations in the system. Get out there and vote.
But I want to say another thank you to Sam and community member, Sam, you need to get in contact. You know, this person. She is amazing. I'm sorry.
They're amazing. Let's get over here, Sam.
I also want to point out others that I know are standing. I saw you all.
You have leaders in your community already.
Come up here, brother.
Yes, come on. You have big voices from your community.
This is your voice.
Let's go.
And they need to see you. You need to be making more changes here.
Yes.
Because it starts with people like you here in this community. This is your place.
Yep, this is your place.
I want to introduce the queen. She's born and bred in Seaside. She knows
All right. Woo! Give her a round of applause.
I want her to show. I've been talking all day. Everybody knows me, but I want her to introduce herself.
Yes.
I want her to tell you what she's about this book.
All right. I want to say to Soledad community, hats off to you. This is awesome. You just made history. The first ever protest in Soledad. I don't look at you all as allies. I look at you as accomplices. Love you. We appreciate you. I think everybody said everything that was important today. Getting out to those polls, getting registered. There, you can go online and register to vote. Vote.org. But start local and think global. This is where it starts. Go in and demand the budgets to change, the budgets to reflect what the people in the community need. It's gone on long enough. Enough is enough. We need to breathe, and it starts now. So in unity, in solidarity, in this powerful camaraderie, we can't be stopped. Don't let anyone think they thought they could stop us over there. They barricaded the way, and thought we couldn't get through, and we marched right through. We did what we were supposed to do. Look at people protest. Out home. You know, and it has been recorded. When we asked the officers to kneel with us, and they refused, that spoke volumes. So stay woke, Soledad. That spoke volumes. They're not kneeling with us, and they showed their colors. So enough is enough with them. Get out to the polls. Go to your meetings. Go to your city council meetings. Demand the budget to reflect what's being needed. And don't forget the census. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Oh yeah, so this evening in Seaside at Laguna Grande, we are going to have a candlelight vigil at 4 o'clock if you all want to join us there. That'll be awesome. We are also planning Juneteenth, June 19th, and we will we'll get the word out right now to save that date so that you all know. So, you know, let's keep building, let's keep growing. Let's take the change.
All right, guys, we're going to end it by taking a historic photo because this memory is historical. We wouldn't have known about Martin Luther King marching if there wasn't there wasn't iPhones back then. They had those black and white things. You know, I'm young, so I don't, you know. But I'm just saying that this needs to be photographed. This needs to be shared with the world. We can't just allow KSBW the only ones to share this. We have iPhones. Black media, baby. Black media. All right, let's get up right here. We're gonna take a photo.
Right there. Black and brown brothers and sisters.
Panoramic.